Welcome to the Paranormal Stakeout radio TV show with Larry Lawson. As a former career law enforcement officer and law enforcement educator, Larry focuses on the use of tried and true law enforcement investigative techniques in conducting paranormal investigations. Despite his experience and training, Larry also keeps an open mind to discussions on topics that deal with evidence that are not quite as physical in nature. Paranormal Stakeout guests are professionals in the field of the paranormal and parapsychology, conducting the investigations and research needed to further the cause of paranormal study. Larry advocates an agenda of standardization of structure and training in the field of paranormal investigation and research for the purpose of one day being able to produce the evidence needed to convince a jury of the existence of the paranormal. Whether it is ghosts, UFOs, unsolved mysteries, hauntings or cryptids, no topic is beyond the investigative reach of Larry Lawson and the Paranormal Stakeout radio TV show team. Now, here is the host of the Paranormal Stakeout radio TV show, Larry Lawson.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Paranormal Stakeout. I'm your host, Larry Lawson, welcoming you back to the show from beautiful Vero Beach, Florida, where we're getting plenty of rain still down here. I remember last week I told you we're getting rained on. It's still going on, but I want to take a moment at the beginning of the show before I talk about anything else to send our thoughts and prayers to our brothers and sisters north of the border in Canada. If you don't know, they're having some terrific wildfires up there everywhere from the East Coast to the West Coast. And we have them down here in this country. And, you know, Canada's always got our back. So we want to have theirs. And just want to give our friends, this show, in fact, is produced in Canada. And I want to take just a moment to let our brothers and sisters up there know that we're thinking about them in this time of need. So with that, on a happier note, like I said, thanks for being here tonight. Want to make mention of how you can check out what my team does. You can get us on our Facebook pages at paranormalfbi.com and indianriverhauntings.com. You can also check out our investigations that we're doing through the Florida Bureau of Paranormal Investigation at Indian River Hauntings 2341. That's our YouTube channel. And also, I want to remind you that if you've got questions, thoughts, or comments that you'd like me to share on the show, please get a hold of me. Send your questions to ghostguy@paranormalstakeout.org. That's paranormalstakeout.org. And let us know what you're thinking. If you got questions, if you got ideas, things you want to share, this is the great place to do it. Tonight's going to be an interesting show because I actually have a returning guest tonight. When he was with us back in April, I believe, we didn't quite get it as far as we wanted to in the discussion of Ronnie Dawson's connection to alien abductions and alien contacts. So Ronnie's going to be with us tonight. Ronnie's a Texas oil field worker. He first had alien contact in 2010 out in the plains of Texas. And he really had some interesting things to share with us, but we want to hear more. So Ronnie, welcome back to Paranormal Stakeout.
Hey, Larry, it's good to be here. It's always good to be on a Paranormal Stakeout with you.
Well, good. I'm glad you're back. Man, you've done a lot of things. You're an author, the Ronnie Dawson's UFO story that folks can get online at Amazon, Barnes & Noble. So you're an author. You've been on tons of TV shows and you've been interviewed, even though it was a part of MegaCon 2021. But for those listeners out there who may have missed our first show, share a little bit about Ronnie Dawson with my audience, if you would.
Oh yeah, it's a wild ride. It's one of the wildest UFO stories out there. And the great thing is I don't want people just have to take my word for it because there's a lot of stories out there. But I've managed to catch a little bit of evidence here and there as it's gone along. So I've got some photographic evidence and stuff on the way, you know. So and I tell you what, man, there's, you know, talking about UFOs and looking for UFOs and UFO watching is one thing, but when you see that ship roll in and it's blocking the stars out over your head, and your knees are shaking, and you're waiting for something with slimy long fingers to come rushing out of the dark at you. That's where I've been. And I know a lot of people haven't been there, and they're looking for the evidence, and I understand. I do understand that, but at the same time, you can't be where I'm at unless you've been where I've been.
Walk a mile in your shoes. I totally understand.
Oh yeah.
Share a little bit about. I want to start with you just sharing a little bit about what we talked last time, and those are your initial UFO encounters. It started back in 2010, I believe, right?
Yeah, like I said, I'd been working outdoors in the oil field most of my life, and I had never really seen anything I couldn't explain. Did a lot of plane watching and meteor watching and stuff like that. But in about 2009, it just got weird out here. We were seeing lights, and they were doing stuff that couldn't be explained. They were moving about. They were sequencing and coming on, going off, and dropping to the ground, dropping back up in the air, being joined by other lights, and then taking off together. And it just wasn't no explanation before that, Then I seen a cattle abduction while I was driving down the highway, and I kept getting closer and closer and closer to it, and I saw this ship shoot a dark blue light down to the ground, and I seen something rising up in it that I thought was smoke. And then after I got a little bit closer to it, and I could see it was a cow. It was 30 feet off the ground, being lifted, and it's whipping its head side to side. And so when I seen that, I was like, okay, all right. Putting two and two together, I was like, this is what I kind of been suspecting all along. And these probably some kind of alien technology. I don't know, alien visitation or whatever. But there wasn't no excuse for that cow to be rising up in a light. We don't have any lights that can raise cattle that I'm aware of. So
yeah. So shortly after that incident, you brought a buddy of yours out to try and film some of these lights. Am I correct?
Yeah, I was seeing the lights, and we were investigating the lights, and we were posting about the lights, and being begged. The people were begging us to catch some pictures and stuff of it. But at the same time, we were dealing with a lot of skeptics and stuff. And I thought, you're just going to videotape a light in the dark. It don't mean anything to some people. You have to do something spectacular. And we shot this laser. I shot a green laser at this craft, and hoping that the crash propulsion system would cause the laser to appear to bend. And if we could actually record it on camera, then we'd have some solid evidence that this is alien visitation that we could present to the scholars and skeptics. And
right. And you had a friend of yours that was with you that was going to film it, and
he was supposed to be filming. Yeah.
What happened there?
Well, the UFO did show up, and I broke out the green laser, and I fired it all around the craft. And at one point, I didn't get the beam deviation that I was hoping to get. And I assumed he was filming the whole time because he had the camera 3 feet from him. And I told him, I said, I'm going to shine it on the craft. I said, it may not be a good thing, but I'm going to shine it on the side of the craft and see what happens. And it was scary. I thought, man, they might shoot their laser back. We might be two piles of ass standing there on the hillside, and it was scary. I put that laser right on the UFO, and it just absorbed the beam. And I looked at my friend. I said, I hope you're getting all this on camera. And there was a camera laying on the chair about 3 feet from him, and he was standing there with his hands on his hip, and his mouth was aghast, just glaring at the thing, going, my God. I'm going, dude, you had one job. You were the cameraman. Your one job is to run the camera.
Well, and that's happened. We've seen folks that suddenly get so gobsmacked over something that they just freeze. So that can happen. So you had the incident where you saw the UFO. It didn't get filmed, but then you went home. Was it that next day you had the folks? You actually had some visitors, right?
Yeah, it was the next night. I had an alien home invasion. I wasn't really ready for that, but it happened, And I got a really good close look at them. And these little guys, first I couldn't really see them. They paralyzed me in bed, and they were ransacking my house basically. And only thing I could figure was they were looking for the laser. They were curious about the laser that I'd fired at their craft. I couldn't think any other reason for them to be there.
Yeah, I don't know if firing the laser was a great move, personally.
Well, it's definitely got their attention.
Okay.
It might not have been in a good way, but I don't think anybody's ever done. This was back before anybody had ever thought about doing that. So I'm one of the pioneers on shooting lasers at UFOs. And in fact, I think there were some pilots and stuff that they were naming me and going after me for, you guys can't be shooting lasers at the planes. And
yeah, I get you jammed up. Not only
and
that, go ahead.
it's a felony too, you know. And they were like, and I'm going,
Yeah.
look, man. I mean, we had drivers. I mean, I drive a truck, and I got friends in the trucks, and we both had lasers, and we're shining the lasers at each other just to mess with one another. So it didn't really affect us driving our trucks. I mean, you could easily move your head out of the way of the laser, even if it did hit you. It's not near the consequences that they try to make it out to be. I mean, it's annoyance, yeah, but it's definitely not paralyzing.
Well, boys and girls at home, do not try this at home.
But
Do
don't
not
do
shoot
that.
it.
Yeah,
Don't
do
do
not
not
shoot
do not
lasers
do
at
that.
planes. Yes. Don't.
So you had these visitors come the next day. They were in your house, and you had sleep paralysis, correct? You couldn't get up, but you saw them ransack your home. But you also had some damage to your home, correct?
Yeah, I mean, they were ransacking the house. They had me paralyzed in bed, and I never even went to sleep. I just barely just laid down in bed, and all of a sudden I realized I was stuck to the bed and couldn't move. I mean, my eyes could look around, but I couldn't move my head. I couldn't really use my voice, and it seemed like nothing was holding me in bed. But every time I would try to get up, it was like, man, all of a sudden this force would just like push me into the bed. It was like the more force I used, the more force they used.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cat, I thought it was the cat making all the noise and knocking stuff over and stuff. And then the cat jumped in bed with me because he was scared of what was running about the house too. And it ended up being 3 little alien creatures. They were about 18 inches tall, man. I mean, the one I saw from 10 feet away he had like a humanoid looking face, but that was the only thing about that thing that looked human. The hands didn't look human. He had 2 legs and 2 arms, but he looked more like an insect than he did a human being. But his face looked like an angry old man with squinted eyes and a little bitty face and head. And he had like an exoskeleton shell on him, and it had thorn appendages coming off of it. Even the top of his head had it was like a metal cap or something on him with thorn appendages hanging off it,
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this thing, I ain't never seen anything like this. It was definitely an ugly looking little guy, and my God, they were fast. I mean, they could literally stand there. I mean, he could stand still in front of the door. He come in on all fours, and he reared up on 2 legs, and I saw him from like 10 feet away. And when he left, man, I mean, he took off, and all you could see was a streak take off. And the other ones, when they were running about, all you could see was a streak. I seen one of them run across a vertical wall, like gravity didn't affect it. I was clinging to the hope that it was a raccoon or a squirrel or something explainable. But at some point I had to, say, okay, this is probably more about what went on last night than animals in my house tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you didn't collect any evidence, and why was that? Because you had some damage to your house, but
yeah, I mean, the first thing I did when they cut me loose was I went on an alien hunt. I was going to kill me at that gum alien if I could have found it, but they had left, and I had they had clawed their way through a floor in like the 3rd bathroom floor, and I had patched it so the cat couldn't get out, and they had went in there and they had pulled the tin up that I had put down so the cat couldn't get out, and they tore the screws out of the wood. And so these little guys, not only were they fast, they were strong too, because I mean, they pulled those screws right out of the wood. I had it secured down really good, and that 30-year tin, it's tough, man. I can't even bend it, I don't think, but these guys did.
We're gonna continue this on the other side. We're about ready to take our first break, but now I want to start getting into what happened after that, because you've got a whole lot of stories after that. So folks, stay with us on Paranormal Stakeout. My guest, Ronnie Dawson. More to come. See you after these messages. And we are back on Paranormal Stakeout with my guest, Ronnie Dawson. Ronnie, fascinating story. Thank you for the recap in that first part. Now, I was watching some of your other videos, and we'll give you a chance to tell the audience where they can find your videos when we get to the end of the show, because they're fascinating. Apparently you had, after this all occurred, a couple of days later, you had another incident, didn't you?
Yeah, it was after the alien home invasion. It was like one solid year after. It was like 1 year to the day of the alien home invasion. I had a mothership encounter. I saw 3 UFOs in about a 1 hour period, man. And I guarantee it blew me away. And I actually got some of the best footage I've ever got. Most of the pictures you see that I have was stuff taken that night.
Are those the videos or pictures you see in a lot of your videos?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a gold mine there. That was the gold mine night of the pictures. The 3 UFOs in a 1 hour period, and one of them was a mile long mothership. So
Okay, let's talk about that a little bit because I mean this respectfully, but I'm not seeing them on the videos. I know that you've talked. You said they've been examined, by other folks. You've had them folks look at them, process them for you.
yeah.
Tell me how those pictures, like you've got one in particular where you see an alien with a horn, I think, coming out of it.
Yeah, there's that one for sure. Yeah.
Well, how do you know? How are you so sure that many of the pictures you have on your site are what you describe, whether it be aliens or parts of the ship? How do you know that?
Well, I mean, it's there on photographic evidence, and I can't begin to tell you if it's a real creature or if it's a statue. It could be very well be a statue, or it could be an animal that these guys could be like an intergalactic zoo going around and picking stuff up. So, I have no idea. I'm observing it from like a mile away, and a lot and the first creatures on there, I've got a picture of a mile long UFO, and we're looking at it. I'm looking for alien structures. I'm looking for machinery on this thing, like I said, and you really have to open your mind because it's not anything that's been made by man. So you have to really open your mind up to say, well, this is not human made, so it probably ain't going to look anything like what we have.
Well, and I grant you that I'm looking at it on a video screen. Right. I wasn't there like you were.
Yeah.
But, that's why I'm wondering how you came to certain conclusions, like ports on the craft. I believe you talked about a docking station on one of them. And I was just wondering, were you working with somebody in the government that could that examined these photographs, that identified those particular parts on the ship?
No, there's nobody can really identify the parts on the. What we were playing with different software, trying to get the best, clearest look at this thing. Because I got the first images that I got was made from like Windows Movie Maker, and it was terrible. It was just one big blur. You couldn't hardly see anything. There's different software coming out. We went from like 7 still frame images of the 17 seconds, I think, of the craft. And then we went from like 7 images to like 28. And we were looking for that needle in the haystack because you have an automatic lens focus on that camera. And this thing is like trying to focus on this thing while it's moving through the sky at night. And so as we use different software and that could take apart the video, it's the same original video that we used. Nothing was altered or manufactured and this new software started capturing stuff that where the camera was actually in focus, and you could actually see what was on this thing. And so here we are. We're looking at some of the images better than images that we've seen in the past, and we're trying to see exactly what's on this thing. And there's this one lady on YouTube. She's going, man, I keep seeing this alien creature. Looks like a cow head on it, but it's got a body like a dog or something. And the thing is huge from the distance it is. And I'm going, I just don't see it. I don't know what this, I think this one was crazy. I don't see it either. And I said, can you just circle it for me? And when she did, I looked at that thing and I'm going, holy hell. I mean, you can see the muscling in its legs. You can see the tail on it. And I said, I just wasn't looking. I wasn't looking for an animal on the surface of this mile-long craft. I was looking for alien architecture, machinery, stuff like that you might expect to see. A huge creature on this thing. I wasn't even looking for that. And once I looked at it and I was going, it has to just be. But as I scanned through the frames, where you cannot, it's not like a elephant in the cloud where it's there 1 second disappears. As you move through the frames, you can still see it going in and out of focus, but not completely disappearing. And you're going, holy crap! There is something there, but I can't begin to tell you if that's an actual animal or if that's a statue that they built or what it is.
Well, are you familiar with the term pareidolia?
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Could this be part of it? Could it just be and what I'm getting at is I want my audience to take a look at this and be able to understand. how you came to the conclusions. And like, for example, were you able to get this video to some sort of government agency so they can examine it? I certainly am not qualified to do that kind of video. But what about folks with MUFON or something like that?
Well, I mean, yeah, there's been some people. Most of the people that have really researched this thing are not the people who would try to get the best image possible out of it, but people who are looking to debunk it and looking to authenticate it. And and I mean, they've blown up the pixels the size of tennis balls to see if I've manufactured anything on it. Would have showed, and they said no, it's an actual footage of something, but we don't know what it is. And like I said, you wouldn't know what it is unless you were standing there with me. You know, so but the footage of the thing looks just like what I've seen with my naked eyes, and the human eye is the best camera on the planet, you know. So I was looking at it, I caught it on, so I know exactly what we're looking at. So I can tell you what it is. It's the surface of a giant UFO mothership that just passed over my head, and then it flew away about a mile, and then it banked back to me. And when it banked back to me, I could see the surface of the ship and the stuff on the top of it instead of the bottom of it. Now, the bottom of it was solid rock, and it had burn marks and crater marks. It looked like you were looking at the surface of the moon. I mean, you could see hit marks on it, burn marks on it. It looked like a meteor. All aspects of it absolutely looked like a meteor. And I had no idea there was anything on the surface of this thing. And all of a sudden, this meteor started slowing down. It started tipping up. It shot off at a 90-degree angle at an amazing speed. And I was like, it's like a huge flying rock. And then when it got a mile away, it banked. The top of it, the bottom of it banked away from me. The top of it was coming back at me. And then it allowed me to see the surface of the top of this thing. And it looked like a city built on the surface of this thing. I mean, there were structures, there was tires, there was there was like, there's this blue fluorescent glowing power line stretched across the top of it. And I mean, I was just taking, I wasn't looking for animals or crap. I mean, I was just taking the whole thing going, my God, you got to see this,
I saw in one of your videos, somebody did an artist rendering of it.
Right.
Which I found very fascinating. But I got to ask you, a ship that size, nothing came up on military or a civil airport radar. No other reports.
Well, they never really said that. I did a FAA low craft report in a dare by some debunkers. They said, well, filing a false report's a felony. If you really saw something, you won't mind filing a FAA low craft report. And I was going, I don't mind at all filing a low craft report. I've got pictures of it. I've seen it with my eyes. I know good and well there's 3 radars in that area that should have caught something. I mean, if they can spot a Volkswagen sized rock coming into the planet, coming by the planet, why can't they catch this thing flying in? Exactly. Or if they did catch it flying in, they're not telling anyone. And the next morning I was completely shocked. I had this thing on video. I figured I would turn on the news and it would be all over the news. Nothing. Nobody said a dadgum thing about this. And I'm going, no way. There can't be UFOs flying all over dadgum around Coleman, Texas, and not one person saw it or saying anything about it. And I figured, I was like, I figured I'd have a NASA van pulled up in front of my house wanting to see the images that I caught, and nothing. Nobody paid any attention to it. I called all the news stations. Nobody gave me the time of day. Nobody was interested in it. Nobody saw anything. I filed the FAA low craft report on the thing, and we had a phone conference, and I made sure not to use the term UFO in my report because I didn't want them just write me off, So I wanted them to take some time, look at the radars and see if they saw anything. And when we finally got down to the conclusion, the guy said, well, it said all known craft were in the area were accounted for without incident, and I should report my UFO to Newfork. And he said, UFO. And I'm going, okay, so I don't know what it is. And apparently they don't know what it is. And apparently they seen it on something. And I've had a guy that was an air traffic controller that was a buddy of mine. I went to school with him, and he said, look, man, I can get that access that video. And I said, if you would, I greatly appreciate it. And he tried to access the video. He was locked out of it. Now he could have been locked out of it because I'd filed the FAA low craft report and it was under review, and they didn't want nobody tampering with it or anything. So I can't say for a fact that they locked it to where no one could view it, but I know when he did try to access it, he couldn't access it.
Okay, I may have missed something here. Excuse me. you're saying that the FAA did get something on radar, and they told you that.
He told me that all known craft in the area were accounted for with that incident, and I should report my UFO, which is an unidentified flying object.
Right.
And he called it an unidentified flying object. So I figured if he called it an unidentified flying object, they must have seen something.
Okay. So you made the assumption your buddy tried to get a copy of that then.
Yeah, my buddy tried to get a copy of the footage, and for all you FOIA request people, the nights of March the 1st and March 2nd of 2011, near the town of Coleman, Texas, between 9 and 10 p.m. is the time you want to look. And I mean, this thing is a mile big. I mean, it should show up on radar. You should be able to see it,
You would think.
But it seems like they're going out of their way to hide it. Nobody's going out of their way to say anything about it. And it's kind of funny. I had the military jets that had flew over earlier before this thing came in. And in fact, they looked like they were doing a sweeping pattern. They weren't doing a searching pattern. I thought they were chasing the one little UFO that scared me so bad that finally backed away because they flew right where its position was. But when he turned and left the area like they were doing a big sweep, like they knew something big was coming in. They didn't want it to collide with anything, and they got the hell out of there before this thing showed up. So it's fishy stuff going on out there, and I don't know how much they know or if they know anything or they know nothing.
Well, how big is Coleman, Texas? What's the population there?
I think the town it's probably 3,000 to 4,000 people, I believe. It's not that great. It's not a great big town.
So it's out there in the middle of nowhere too.
Yeah, huh? It's about 80 miles south of Abilene, Texas, which is the next closest big town to it, I believe.
Interesting. Well, that one quick. We're about ready to take our second break in just a couple of seconds here. But when we come back, Ronnie, I want to start talking about your contacts, your one-on-one, face-to-face contacts with aliens, and why they're coming to you. So, folks, stay with us. I've got my guest, Ronnie Dawson, with more to tell us. So stay with us. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Welcome back, folks, to Paranormal Stakeout with my guest, Ronnie Dawson. And we're getting down in the weeds this time, Ronnie, and I really appreciate it. I want to go back to your videos for just a second. You one of your videos, and you've got a number of them all out there. You had one where it was like you were giving a presentation, and it's where you were actually showing dimensions and measurements on the photographs. Who was helping you actually go through that? Because you'd mentioned we found this and we did that. Was there somebody that was helping you actually determine these measurements and these shapes? And was it somebody with the government maybe?
No, I wish it was. It was a good friend of mine, Alan Austin, so the same guy that was up there UFO watching with me.
Oh, the guy that didn't film it originally.
Right,
okay.
yeah.
Alan.
So,
okay.
When you got a buddy who actually, first you want your buddy to believe you, and then, but he hadn't seen it, so they're always a little bit skeptical. But after he's seen the UFO, he was somebody I could really go to, and he knew that it was the real deal, because he had been up close and personal himself. So
sure,
yeah, he helped me with a lot of my recording and stuff like that. But man, he died in 2009. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Under mysterious circumstances too, So
tell me what mysterious circumstances, and can you share it?
Yeah, I mean, it was cold and snowing up here, and I talked to him, and we hadn't heard anything from him in a couple of days, and I think that I told him I had an alien home invasion. He was worried he might have one, and so he secured the crap out of his house so that they couldn't get in, So he was worried that they might try to do the same thing to him, and so, man, I mean, he secured his house like Fort Knox over there, and all of a sudden he wouldn't answer his phone. He wouldn't answer the door. We were getting worried about him, man. We hadn't heard from him in a couple of days, and I went up there, and I mean, his mailbox was full of mail, and there wasn't no tracks outside in the sleet and the snow. And I was like, that ain't like him, And so I called his sister, and I said, have you heard anything? No, I haven't heard anything. And I said, neither have we, and we're kind of worried. And she said, well, get the police over there. We'll do a wellness check. And the police went over there and they broke in the back door of his house. And the officer came back out to me, and he wouldn't let me in because I'm not family. But they broke in the back door. He said he's in there, but he's not alive. And he had he had this look of horror on his face. I seen him bring the body out and put it in the car in the car they picked him up in, and I mean, one side of his face was normal, and the other side of his face looked like was scared. Something scared him to death.
Really?
And I was like, maybe he had an alien home invasion and had a heart attack, because I felt like when I was trying to fight the force that was holding me down, I felt like it almost killed me. And I was just wondering, maybe that may have happened to him. And he fought it so hard, it caused him to have a heart attack and die. I don't know.
Well, one question for you. Have you ever had any visitors from, shall we say, an unnamed government agency ever come and chat with you about what your claims are?
Not in person, but I've talked to a guy who's supposed to be in. He was using the term Space Force before they even came out with the term Space Force, which was odd. And he told me he flew a UFO for the government, and these guys that I've been seeing are not supposed to be here. They're in a 1,000-year treaty to stay away. And first of all, I didn't take it very seriously. I thought, well, this is just, good God. When this guy
came to your house, or did he call you?
I was talking to him on the internet, actually.
Okay.
And I thought, well, my God, I was getting so much attention. I was getting a lot of just nuts and crazies. And, so I always like, well, maybe, I don't want to just dismiss him, but but this guy, he's very intelligent and very knowledgeable. And he started talking about the planets they were from, the galaxies they were from, and how far away they were, and how many light years it was. And I was taking notes and stuff and checking this guy out. And man, this guy, the planets he was talking about were exactly the light years away that he was mentioning. So this guy was very knowledgeable in what he was saying. Now, I don't know how truthful it was, but he wasn't just some flake. He was really knowledgeable whenever it came to the details, and I was paying attention to the details. And he told me he worked for a Space Force, and he worked out of a UFO, and they were basically policing our Earth from certain species that aren't supposed to be visiting here. And the ones I've been seeing are some of them. And he filed an incursion report, I guess, based on some of the stuff that I'd seen and some of the pictures I had taken. And they knew who they were. And they knew they weren't supposed to be here. And he supposedly was making a report on it or whatever. And then the guy was just telling me stuff that said, said there's fixing to be something bad happen here in the near future. And then we're rushing to make arrangements. A lot of people on Earth are going to have to go somewhere else for a while. The Earth won't be destroyed. And he was like, there's going to be some kind of pad in most of the large cities, and people like me that live in rural areas will have to travel to the city and not to be completely naked when you land onto this pad, and it won't have any gravity on it, and it will suck you up to outer space into the craft. And
do you remember this guy's name at all?
I seemed like I was researching, and like he had just started a YouTube account, and the only thing he had commented on was that it really pissed him off that somebody had posted it was supposed to be like 8 pictures of aliens that NASA had at Area 51, and he made a comment that is not what aliens look like.
Well, did he take a pencil-looking thing and hold it up in front of you and tell you to stare into it?
No,
This sounds like a movie I saw.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if this guy's for real or not, but I know he's very intelligent, but then it got weird because I was sharing a lot of stuff that he was sharing about the future apocalypse and how they would make us go to these zero gravity pads to load up into these ships to go somewhere else. And he told me, he said, no one to be forced to go. He goes, but trust me, you want to go. He said, the Earth it won't destroy Earth, but it's going to become very uninhabitable. And they're making arrangements for us to go somewhere else. And we're going to have to be naked when we go on this zero gravity pad, and we're going to float up into orbit into the craft. And I'm going, maybe this guy's true, maybe this guy's not, but I'd be scared to do that. What if you're floating up into a meat grinder? Maybe it's a meat grinder up there instead of a craft,
Yeah, and it sounds like another movie I've seen.
Yeah, and I'm going.
This is a great segue, Ronnie, though, into the next thing I want to talk to you about. You actually had a one-on-one, face-to-face contact with aliens that happened several times, correct?
It's happened twice. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the face-to-face meetings has happened twice. Yes.
Okay. Tell us about the first one.
Well, they've been scaring me. They've been scaring me for years, and I've been trying to get proof and more proof to prove that I'm seeing them and stuff. And one night, it was in August of 2017. I had been working nights, and I come home I went to sleep, and I usually wake up about noon. It's early in the morning, about 9 or 10 a.m. in the morning. The sun's up, it's shining through the windows and stuff. My wife is up, she's moving about the house, and I'm in there sleeping. She's trying to be quiet. And all of a sudden, I'm laying in bed. I'm not even dreaming. I'm just sleeping away. And all of a sudden, I had this weird little dream start up where there was like two females grabbing my arms, pulling on me for some reason. And I slipped out of their grasp, and I went right back to sleep. And I remember I would like try to come out of the deep sleep a little bit, going, man, that was a weird mini dream or whatever that was. And then I relaxed and I went back to sleep again. And the next thing I know, they got me again by the arms and they're pulling on me. And I remember I opened my eyes and I'm looking at this one, and she's got short black hair and she's saying, help us. And so they're struggling to get me loose from something. And I'm trying to help them get loose from whatever. It feels like I'm stuck in the mud or in a manhole and I can't get loose. Well, they pull on me. They finally jerk me loose. And all I know is I'm loose from whatever was holding me. And then the first thing they start doing is apologizing. You know, they start saying, we're sorry for, interrupting your rest, but we need to have a conversation. And I'm going, no, thank you for getting me loose from whatever that was, And then, and they said, you're fine. You're fine. And said, well, you're not going to be harmed and your body's sleeping peacefully in bed. And I'm going, wait just a minute. And I'm thinking, is my wife playing a joke on me? She got a couple of friends to pull a prank on me or something. And I'm looking at them and I don't recognize them. I know most of her friends. I don't recognize these two. And then I realize they're wearing like these, they're wearing like the blue lady, she had on like a athletic suit. And
blue lady,
yoga pants.
What do you mean blue lady?
She had like a light blue skin. And she had a big red ruby glued to her left cheek, and she had like a diamond on her forehead, and she had like a flower, or it looked more like corn, tattooed on her other cheek. And she had real short black hair, and she was tall and athletic, and it wasn't none of my wife's friends. And I was going, wow, they went to all the trouble of putting on some costumes for me. And then I looked at the other one, and she's shorter, she's stockier, she's got big hair. And you can see the tip of these cat ears sticking through the hair, even as big as the hair was. And then she had a human face, but it turned into a lion's mouth. And I mean, the closer I looked at it, the more real it looked. And even on her top lip, she had these trimmed whiskers that came out of her top lip. And I'm going, man, if these are costumes, they are some damn good ones,
Yeah.
And I'm going, okay, well, these costumes are definitely real, but I'm still not convinced that they're aliens. And then I looked back and there, right there where I was sleeping where I sleep in the bed there's a body in the bed. And I thought, and she just told me, she said, your body's sleeping comfortably. And I'm going, what is that's me? And I'm like, I'm having a out of body experience. So I want to go look down on my face to make sure it's me. So I tried to take a step and I fell forward. And I put my hand out to catch myself, and it landed on the leg of the body sleeping in the bed, and it supported me for a second. And then my hand felt like it broke the leg, and it went through it, and I could feel the softness under the mattress underneath, and it jerked back. I jerked my head back. It freaked me out, and I'm going, oh my God. And so they kind of weighed me out of bed. Then I looked down at the bed, and I realized my knees are buried in the bed up to the knees. I mean, I can't even see the bottom of my legs, and I'm thinking I was standing beside the bed, not in the middle of the bed. And so they come walking me out of the bed like I'm like I'm drunk or something. They help me out of the bed, and they start telling me, look, you're okay. You can move. We can move through solid matter here. This is from the people of our world and the people where your world are going to meet. They said, in this place, you're safe from bacterial and viral harm and physical danger. And they said, so this is where the people of your world and our world are going to meet, And she said, your physical body's sleeping there in bed and it's safe. It's fine. And then she said, now she wanted me to put my hand on the cat lady's head and push. She's trying to show me that you can move through solid matter here. I mean, you have some mass, but you don't have a lot of mass. And I put my hand on her head and I pushed, and I could see my hand sink into her head. I could feel her hair. I could feel her face. But as I pushed, I could feel the brain matter inside her head.
This was the cat lady.
Yeah, it felt wet inside there. But when I pulled my hand out, thinking my hand was yucky, it was nothing on it. It was dry.
Okay. Well, we're this last 13 minutes went quick. We got to take our break. When we get back, we'll continue with the cat lady and the Blue Lady, and meeting in the world in between. So stay with us, folks. There's more to this story. We'll be back after these messages. And we are back on Paranormal Stakeout with this incredibly fascinating story from Ronnie Dawson of Texas. And so when we left before the break, Ronnie, you were talking about two female aliens, one blue and one looking kind of cat-like, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
And they've literally pulled your soul, consciousness out of your body. You're looking at yourself, and they're wanting you to go to an area in between our worlds, and that's where folks of their dimensional meet us. Have I got that sort of right?
Yeah, this is a place where they've been watching us, and apparently they just reduce their amount of mass until they reach this ghost state, and then they can move freely amongst us, and they're not affected by bacteria or viruses, and that seems to be a big concern of theirs is cross contamination of biological and viral material from between the worlds, and the way they talk, that's a big deal. They don't. I mean, you don't want their viruses here, and they don't want our viruses there. It'd be a bad thing for both of us. So
how did they get you into this netherworld? How did they?
They just pulled me out of my sleeping body. They grabbed me and literally drugged me out of it. I mean, it wasn't like I was meditating, or I'm certainly not a trap.
Okay. So you're not.
I know it means.
You're talking about the state that you were in was that interdimensional spot where they can meet. That's what you were describing.
No, I was just a guy asleep, and they came in and grabbed my consciousness, and they just drug it right out of my sleeping body.
Okay.
And where did it go? And I was there in this place, I guess. Yes.
Where did it go from there?
And she said, yeah, they started to disturb my sleep. They needed to have a conversation, and that's where the people of our world and their world are going to meet. And the people of their world had demanded an audience with us, and they wanted to ask me some questions about how to go about doing that, for one. And they give me like I said, I'm sitting here trying to get up to speed on all this, and I feel the weight of the conversation. It's like, my God, I'm representing every man, woman, and child on planet Earth, and I'm talking to ET for the first time. And I don't know if anybody's ever done it or if I'm the first to do it, but I'm like, oh, this is a big deal here. I don't want to, piss them off.
Why you? Why you? Why did they pick Ronnie Dawson of Texas?
I mean, only thing I can figure is I'm out there driving a piece of technological equipment. I drive probably $250,000 worth of equipment out in the oil field, and I'm loading crude oil that's been pumped out of the core of the earth. So, they probably, I don't know if they think they're probably wondering what I'm doing with that crude oil or I'm a guy worthy of contact. And I think they came to my house and or checked me out for a while. And, we caught some stuff on cameras and stuff of them moving around and just weird stuff I couldn't explain, and the kids were saying, man, I caught this weird image on my camera, and I'm going, it could have been car light shining through a window. Who knows what it was?
But a lot of folks have had that happen. There's a lot of folks but why do you think that they chose Ronnie Dawson to make this what appears to be the first interstellar contact? Why you?
I think they
have a feeling
they encountered me out in the oil field, and I think they followed me home, and they watched me for a while, enough to say, that this guy, maybe he's worthy of contact or whatever, he's interesting enough that we want to chat it up with him, I guess, so.
Well, let's continue with the chatting up then. What else? what else do they want to talk about? What was their purpose? What was their mission?
Everything was going quick. People were saying, well, why don't you do this? What are their names? I'm like, man, we didn't. They were throwing stuff at me left and right, and I'm thinking, man, I probably should do more listening than talking. So
who was asking you these questions?
The blue lady, the blue lady and the cat lady, they weren't really asking me questions. They were just rattling stuff off, and they said they discovered our world in the latter part of the 40s because their nuclear testing sent light and radiation off of her planet. And they had been in an interdimensional war. So I think this is an interdimensional planet, and it's incredibly close. She says at times closer than our own moon. And and I don't even know how. I can't even begin to wrap my brain around where this is at, how they got here, or none of that. But they said the light and radiation, and it concerned them because they had been in an interdimensional war. Since they've been here since the 40s. They spoke English as good as I did. In fact, some of the things they've said I had to look up in the dictionary. And you're not going to have dreams using words that you don't know the meaning of. But I remembered everything and looked it up. And I'm like, so they're using words that I've had to look up in the dictionary to see what they were, and it fit in the context of what they were saying. So, and they've been here since the latter part of the 40s. They speak English. Why wouldn't they? I mean, I've been here since 1960. I speak English, so they've been around for quite a while. And so they spoke English. But the cat lady, she had a hard time making certain words. Her mouth wasn't made right to make certain words, and you could see her struggle to say certain things. But she was like a person with a speech impediment. She was smart enough to like change what she was trying to. She would alter it so that she could say it better. So, and apparently the cat lady was the geneticist, and I think the blue lady, I don't know exactly what her position was. I think she's maybe the pilot, because I think I filmed her in the 2011 incident where the UFO came over my head, and I snapped a picture from my hiding spot, and you can look at the image in that picture, and you can see the big red ruby that's on her left cheek. Even in that picture, it's not a clear picture; it's a kind of a blurry picture, but you can see the big red ruby on her left cheek. So I'm thinking that
which video was that on? Which one of your videos was that on?
It's on. You can go to the Google Images and type in Ronnie Dawson UFO pictures, and it's in that group. And in fact, I drew a picture of her when she went and visited me in my room, a drawing of her, and you could compare it to the picture that I took inside the UFO back in 2011, and you can see that it looks like her. So I'm thinking she's probably the pilot. I'm thinking she's a pilot.
So continue on with the conversation. What else were they wanting from you?
Well, she gave me kind of a brief history. Like they discovered us because of our nuclear testing, sent light radiation off our planets. They investigated us. They thought that there would be another interdimensional attack, or perhaps we were a staging area for a previous interdimensional attack. So they were really just checking us out. They didn't really come here to make friends. They didn't know, because they were at war with some guys, and then she referred to them as our fallen angels. And and she was telling me about you're talking about interdimensional war. You think real war is hell. She gave me a little insight into what an interdimensional war looks like. You never get a second rest. They could show up anywhere, anytime, without any warning. And it's just agonizing. And they destroyed like a third of the Blue Lady's planet, and they did it without provocation or warning, just to show them a demonstration of force and a threat to the rest of their intergalactic community, that you better succeed to us and do as we say, or we're going to do this to all of you. So they came into their intergalactic community, and like you said, they had an intergalactic community of different planets and different species, but they were completely in the dark about interdimensional travel, period. And these guys they came in. The first thing they did was blow up part of their planet and use the force they used to threaten everyone else. We'll do this to all of you. And they thought, well, at first, we'll just appease them, and they'll just take whatever they want, and they'll leave us alone, maybe resources or whatever. But she said they finally reached to the point where they'd rather die fighting these guys than live under them. And so they all gathered up together, and she said that they thought these guys were immortal. They couldn't kill them. I mean, apparently they were able to reduce their amount of mass or whatever. You could shoot them with a bullet. It'd go right through them. It wouldn't kill them. And they thought they were immortal. They were having a hard time fighting them. And finally they figured out a way to kill one, and they killed it and destroyed his ship. And she said the ship in their intergalactic community is like it's like a travel destination. It's like it's like a main travel destination. Everybody comes to see this alien they killed and shot down.
Okay. Why did they want you to know this, Ronnie?
I'm not sure, really. I guess just to give me an idea of exactly where they came from, or how they got to be here, and why they were here in the first place, And they said the people of their world have seen us. And in fact, she told me at one point She said our world has already affected their world. They're seeing us wear our clothing. Some of our clothing designs have become popular there, and they're already starting to wear them, make it out of fabrics and materials of their world.
Well, but why do they want us to know? Do they want to continue and grow relationships between the two dimensions?
She said the people of their world are demanding to meet us, and she said their science serves the needs of their people. And she kind of like had a jab. She said your science serves the needs and wants of your corporations, and she said our science serves the good of our people, good and betterment of our people, unlike your world. And so it was like, wow, that's like a stab at me.
What message did they want you to give to us?
The message she wanted us to know, she said, when it comes time to meet, she said, tell the people of your world when it comes time to meet, because I got really close to her, looking at her eyes, and it kind of freaked her out. And she said,
this is the cat lady, or the blue lady?
Now this is the blue lady speaking.
Okay.
And she said, be sure and tell the people of your world when it comes time to meet. She said, tell the people of your world that no physical contact unless you make a request and you get a affirmation response, a response of affirmation. So they don't want you just grabbing them and hugging them, or shaking their hand or anything. You want to, before you touch them, ask. It's like it ain't like it's not permitted, but it's like before you touch the other species, they definitely want you to ask permission first.
But that kind of changed a little bit, didn't it, Ronnie? Wasn't there a...
Well, the cat lady, she was sitting there holding my hand the whole damn time. And I was sitting there, I don't know if she's just friendly or she's afraid I'd run away. I don't know. But the weird thing was, here comes my wife walking through the bedroom. She's fully clothed. I'm talking to two alien cat women, not 10 feet from her. And
they're both two alien cat. They both look like cats?
Well, no, one's a cat lady, another one's a blue lady. But I mean, there's two aliens here, and I'm talking to them 10 feet away. My wife comes walking through the bedroom, and I'm looking at her. I can see her clothed and everything, and she walks right by us. And the blue lady says, she can't see or hear us, and then my wife comes walking back out of the bathroom, and then she pauses for a second. And she's looking over towards us, and it freaks the cat lady out. The cat lady looks at the blue lady, and she says, can't you see us? And she goes, no. And she points at my body sleeping in bed. She says she's looking at him.
Interesting. Well, now, we've got something special tonight. We're actually going to go one extra segment with you, Ronnie, because I've got still some more questions to ask you. So when we get back after the next break, we're going to talk a little bit more about your relationship with these two and other things they asked you and wanted to know. But so we've got an extra 13 minutes to chat about this in just a few. So folks, stay with us. You're going to really be interested in this last session. So stay with us on Paranormal Stakeout. My guest tonight, Ronnie Dawson. We will see you in just a few minutes after these messages. And we are back on Paranormal Stakeout. My guest tonight, Ronnie Dawson. Before we get into this last session here, I want to remind everybody to check us out on our website at paranormalfbi.com and indianriverhauntings.com. You can also check us out on our YouTube at Indian River Hauntings 2341. And don't forget, you can reach me and get a hold of me at ghostguyparanormalstakeout.org. I also want to encourage all of you to go to xzbn.net and see all of the other terrific programming here on the X Zone Broadcast Network. There's a lot of great shows on here, and you don't want to miss it. And Ronnie, where can people find you at?
Man, I'm all over the internet. Just type in Ronnie Dawson UFO story. And man, I've done, 50, 70 podcasts. And if you want to see the UFO pictures I managed to capture, you can go to the Google images and just type in Ronnie Dawson UFO pictures. I have that book on Barnes and Noble called Ronnie Dawson UFO Story. And like I said, sometimes I get on TV, sometimes I get speak at UFO conferences. So hopefully I'll be at a UFO conference near you soon.
Yeah, you were actually at MegaCon 2021, did a presentation there, correct?
Yes. Yeah,
okay,
that was the first one. And my first speaking engagement was like the Super Bowl of UFO conferences, so I got thrown right into the big league, Okay. I didn't get a chance to win. It's like playing your first professional football game in the Super Bowl,
Oh, okay. So check those out, folks. You'll find those photographs and videos interesting, and you make the judgment on what you see. So, Ronnie, I want to get back to, we're talking about the blue lady and the cat lady, and I got to be honest with you. I was going through my notes here. Initially, I thought you'd told me that the cat lady was also the blue lady, but it's actually the opposite.
Yeah, there's two different ones. The blue lady, yeah, she's from a whole nother planet. They're like an interstellar community, and they're not even from the same planet, but they're working together. So
when we broke, cat lady was holding your hand. Wife comes through. They're like freaking out. Can they see us?
Yeah.
What happened after that?
And and it's, my wife paused for a second, and then she was. And the cat lady freaked out. She said, "Can she see us?" The blue lady said, "No, she's looking at him." And then my wife continued walking out of the room. I asked her later. I said, "Why'd you do that?" She said, "Because you have sleep apnea." And she said, "I worry about your breathing." So she just looks at me in bed, sees my breath, sees me taking in air in, knows I'm all right, and it just goes ahead on her way. But it freaked them out. It freaked the cat lady out because she was looking over towards us, and she was like. And they're used to us not being able to see them. And all of a sudden, my wife looked like she was looking at us, and it kind of freaked her out,
So what happened next?
I think next, I'd asked them if they could. I remember Stanton Friedman I told Stanton Friedman one time, I said, if I get a chance to talk to these guys, what should I ask them? And he said, well, ask them how they got here. So I asked him, I said, can you show me how you got here? And she goes, yeah. And the blue lady said, yeah, you can see my planet. All you have to do is walk through this wall. And she actually was instructing me to walk through the wall. And I didn't know I was walking through that wall, man. I've never moved through solid matter before. So I was going really slow, afraid the glass in the picture I was going through would cut my face. Man, I could feel the sheetrock passing through my stomach and stuff. And it was,
wow.
It didn't hurt, but it felt very unnatural. And it wasn't like you're moving through smoke. You have a little bit of mass and you have to struggle through solid matter. So I was having and then there's a stud inside the wall that hit me on my right shoulder. And actually on my YouTube channel, the Ronnie Dawson YouTube channel, I made a video of where I went through the wall. And I took a stud detector to show people where the stud was that actually went through my right shoulder. And it was right. When I checked it out, it was right where the stud was at, where it would have passed through my shoulder. So, and when I went through the wall, man, I ended up floating. I didn't know what I was walking into a tunnel or what, and I ended up stepping out of this thing, and I was floating in zero gravity outer space, and I was looking at this alien planet off to my left. I mean, they had 3 major continents, thin oceans, a frosty north and south pole. I was taking everything in, man. I was like, "Oh, this is important. You got to take everything in." You could literally see a black hole in their sky, and just hundreds and thousands of planets, caught in its grasp, and it just lit up the whole sky. I mean, it looked nothing like it looked like our night sky, but our night sky doesn't have that much, stuff going on as theirs did.
Right.
They're very close to a galactic center or a black hole or something, and you could almost see the gravitational wave coming off this thing.
So you're out there looking. What happens next?
Well, I'm doing a slow forward head flip, and I see a moon on this planet, and there's this ugly little rocky moon that looks like Phobos, Mars's moon. I mean, it's just a ugly piece of rock between me and the planet. And so I'm taking all this in. I'm doing a slow forward head flip, and as I'm coming back up, I can't see the black hole anymore, but it gives me a chance to look to see exactly what the heck I walked out of to get here. And when I came back up, it was a crystalline black box floating in outer space. I mean, there wasn't no technology on it, no lights on it, nothing. No propulsion system, just a crystalline black box floating in outer space. And I was outside this thing, and I was going, "Oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to get back in it." And I did a couple or 3 head flips, looking at everything in, and finally. One of the ET grabbed me by the shoulder and pulled me, and I was helping hold on to her hand because I was whipping back and forth, and I was afraid I was going to go flying loose from her grip and go and be lost forever. I was really wanting to get back in that box, but the thing was, I didn't need air to breathe. I wasn't hot or cold, and I could see everything perfectly well from where I was at. And man, it was a lot to see. It was a lot to take in. But
then they brought you back through.
They pulled me right back through the wall that I'd walked through, and I was like, "Thank God!" I was ready to come back.
Well, what happened with that particularly with the cat lady. I know you've mentioned this in a couple of
Yeah,
other
well,
shows.
she said we've been tasked with collecting a genetic sample from you, and I said, "Ooh,
Genetic
okay."
sample, huh?
I'm going, man. I don't know what this is going to entail, but it don't sound that fun. And I said, well, and I thought about it for a second. I was like, but here I am again. This is this is important. This is
Oh, yeah.
mankind meeting extraterrestrials, maybe for the first time ever. I don't know, but
Mhm.
I'm like, probably the answer you should give them is not no. And I'm going, hey, whatever it takes for the people of your world and the people of our world to
Absolutely.
meet. I said, I'll
Take one for the team. I
take one
understand,
for the
Ronnie.
team if I have
Okay.
to.
So what happened, Ronnie? Tell us what happened.
Well, I was afraid I was fixing to take one for the team, and I didn't know what they. I said, okay, I said I'll do whatever it takes to help you, especially if it helps the people of our world to meet the people of your world. And I said, well, how do you intend on getting this genetic sample? And she pointed at the cat lady and she said, this is our geneticist. And if you would just have sex with her, she could get everything she needed from it. And I'm going, my God, did she just say sex? She said sex, didn't she? And I looked at her and I'm going, oh my God, I think she just said sex. And I'm like, and she said, and then she got close to me, like she said, now look, she said, you have to understand the people on their world. She said they have sex like the people of your world might shake hands with a stranger or might smile at a stranger or shake hands with someone. She said to them it's no big deal. She said even the people of my world think it's odd. The blue lady said people of my world think it's odd that they're so sexually uninhibited, I guess.
So what happened?
And I said, well, I guess if that's what you need, and I'm like, I don't know anything about how this is going to happen. She said, well, I'll step out, and she said, I'll give you some privacy. And so she walked through the wall that I just went through. I don't know if she was hanging out in outer space or what she's doing out there. And the cat lady starts stripping her clothes off. And she's got this felt like tan, like it's almost like a lion's felt on her. And then as she started taking her clothes off, I could see these black stripes. It's like zebra stripes. They go all the way around her. I mean,
and remember, this is a family show.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. I've had to tell this in the UFO conference with the Barbara Lamb sitting in the front row, the sweetest little lady in all ufology, wondering how I'm going to say it,
So you had sex with the cat alien.
Yeah.
Okay.
She stripped off her clothes but first of all, she said, I've been watching you and your wife. And I'm going, and my wife had told me at one point, she said, man, I swear to God, I felt like something was standing over there in the dark watching us.
Okay. Well,
and it creeped me out.
I got to ask you the question. I got to ask you the question. I know folks out there are thinking the same thing. Does your wife know you did the naughties with the cat alien?
Yes, I don't keep secrets from her,
And
I don't keep secrets from my wife, man. Okay. I mean, I've told her it's gonna be hard, and she's like, well, and she goes, but even the cat lady said, she goes, it's not like you're cheating on her. Your physical body's laying right there in the bed, and I'm going, well, that is odd,
So what was the result of your intimate contact?
Well, I mean, apparently she jumped up and she shot the ejaculate into I'd never seen that. She had a beaker down there beside, it was like in a bag or something. She pulled this beaker out and she shot the ejaculate inside it, and the lights on the handle went up. It almost looked like a syrup, almost like one of them old school syrup jars, that had the sliding top on it.
So did you actually have sex with her, or did it just happen?
No, I actually had sex with her in the doggy style position. Yeah.
Oh,
just trying to get it over with as quick as I could.
And it was a doggy style with a cat lady. Is that what you said?
Right.
Okay.
And his tail, she had a tail. I did not know she had a tail because she had it hid in the blue jeans she was wearing. And when she took them jeans off, this tail went to whipping back and forth. And I'm going, oh my God, this is weird. And
yeah, it is weird, Ronnie. I got
first it wrapped around the back of my neck, and then it started flickering and getting in my nose and face and stuff. So I kind of grabbed it and I pinned it on her hip because it was getting annoying.
Was anything produced from this event?
Well, they needed the genetic sample, and then when the blue lady came back in, she said, "Be sure to save enough for the clone project." So I'm going, I know what a clone. I know what it means to clone something, and I'm going, oh hell, they're going to make a clone copy of me. Well, I got to meet that clone copy about 2.5 years later because they put me in it.
There's two of you?
Yeah, there's two of me. There's one here on Earth and one wherever this place was at. And that clone alien on that other planet, they also augmented a 17-inch alien penis on it, apparently to better mate with the cat ladies.
Okay. Ronnie,
yeah.
Ronnie, I'm sorry, dude.
I know. It's hard to believe.
Well, how can you ever prove this? Ronnie,
I know.
This is I'm sorry, man. I'm having a tough time with this one.
I know. Yeah.
Have you got any way to prove this?
I was there for a function test, apparently, of this thing.
Yeah, apparently.
But
Ronnie, if you're going to be able to have this story believed, there's got to be some way to prove this. This is way out there, dude. And I know this is not the first time you've told the story.
Yeah. But even there was another female that I had to have sex with there that was a younger one that was strapped into. I basically had to have sex with her in like a doctor's surgical setting with the alien doctor barking instructions in my face. 3 alien nurses standing around watching the whole damn thing. And
okay.
yeah,
right. Ronnie, I'm sorry. With all due respect,
who could make that up? I mean, I'm not even skilled or talented enough to come up with something like that. So.
I would tend to disagree with you on that, my friend. But you know what? I do appreciate your sincerity in coming on the show. We unfortunately are at the end of our time, but I may have to have you back if you're willing to do it. Somehow, Ronnie. You've got to come up with a way that if this actually happened, they've got to somehow give you some sort of token or something to prove that this exists, because otherwise, my friend, this one's tough to believe. I got to be honest with you. And I mean this with respect.
Yeah. But I think the whole thing is they're working on some interdimensional way of travel for us. Maybe it's too far to bring our physical bodies up there, but they want to transfer our consciousness into like a genetic clone, and they're working on it,
Okay.
My goodness.
Well, unfortunately, I've got over time now. I'm going to have to let you go, but this has been a fascinating discussion. I don't think I've ever heard anything quite like it. So thanks for joining us tonight. Hope to see you again soon. Ladies and gentlemen, what can I say? What a show, but I appreciate you sticking with us. Take care. We'll see you next time. Stay safe. Until we meet again, we'll see you on the other side. Have a good night.